Us tonight. Tonight is a very special live event because we will be celebrating Autism Awareness Month, which is April. And we are glad to do so with the very impressive Maisie Santano. Did I say your last name correctly?
Close, but don't worry about it. It's Sutantio.
Santano, I'm so sorry.
Yes, you're close.
You are an incredible lady. We will learn all about that
Thank you.
tonight. But a few highlights is you're a family coach working with neurodivergent children, as well as the founder of Autism Career Pathways 501c3, correct? And we
That's
will
correct.
be linking all of her social handles so you can go check her out. It's really been awesome just to communicate with Maisie for the last couple of weeks. But tonight we'll be learning how to better support neurodivergent children within the home. Everyone who joins tonight, you are welcome to participate, whether you yourself have autism or you love somebody who does, or you're just looking for a way to better support this diverse community. Please ignore my furry coworker. I'm so sorry.
Very cute.
But welcome tonight. We like to start these events by just checking those that are joining with us. If you can hear us, please drop a comment telling us where you're from, your name, and anything you would like to add there. Maisie, I'm excited to jump in. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I am a very long time autism consultant. So people will probably do a double take. What? You're autistic and also an autism consultant or parent coach. And for about 30 years now, 3 decades. And so it's pretty much autism is really not only is my first identity, but it's also something very familiar to me professionally first, because I learned about autism when I was an undergraduate at UCLA. My background was in psychology, and I just happened to come across autism because I knew I wanted to work with kids, and I was placed in a classroom for little autistic kids, and that's how I got started, and I never looked back. And I've been working at a clinic, Catch Clinic. I've been working with autistic individuals and their caregivers for 30 years, a long time. And I am a parent coach. It means that I work and only work with parents at home to really help them figure out what's the best way to support their neurodivergent children. And with the nonprofit Autism Career Pathways here in San Francisco Bay Area, I want to really figure out a creative way, creative solutions where we can empower our community at large. So communities above and beyond the autism and autistic communities, and empower them to really figure out their own way to open their doors to neurodivergent people, not just autism specific. And I came from a long line of neurodivergent people. There are multiple uh, people cross generational who are neurodivergent. I am the first one diagnosed with autism, very late diagnosed. So it kind of has come full circle for me. I started a nonprofit because my clients who I have worked with and watched them grow up, they still can't get a job at Domino's, even though they eat pizza every day and make pizza every day. So it just broke my heart because I watched them grow up. They're the hardest working people on this planet. And I feel like this world is not ready for autistic workforce. And our nonprofit is here to solve that.
Yeah, and we'd love to hear more about that tonight. But I would like to start with um,
Uh-huh.
going into your parenting coaching background and how that began.
Uh-huh.
um, So you specialize with autistic children as well as children with neurodivergent struggles.
Mm-hmm.
When would a
Mm-hmm.
parent usually like reach out to you of saying like, this is something that I need in my life?
Yeah, so that's a very good question. I think that, well, unfortunately, if families are in the United States or Canada, the moment a young child gets a diagnosis, then with that label also comes with a long list of recommendations of therapy. And on top of that, I think parents have uh, too much information, in my opinion, of online resources that actually becomes very confusing to parents. So, usually parents in our country, they would get a list of recommended and provided therapies for their young autistic kids. And so that's usually what happens first. So I used to do that. I used to work with autistic kids as a therapist at home. Um, I would train other people to work with that particular client, and I would provide training for the parents. And I did that for a long time as a therapist for about 10 plus years. And then I think because I'm autistic, intuitively, I knew that, wait a minute, I just feel like something's not connecting here. What is it? And at that point, I couldn't put my finger exactly on it. Like, what was it that really bothered me? And now I can communicate the why, that it didn't feel sit well with me, because I think with all of the therapies provided to autistic children, a lot of times we forget that we are actually raising and supporting a human being. They are children, but teaching them through repetitions and setting goals for them that was created by the standards of neurotypical children, it's just not going to work, right? So when we talk about autism, it's one type of neurodivergence, but there are also other types of neurodivergence, like ADHD. I have an aunt who is a non-speaking Down syndrome, for example. That's another type of neurodivergence. A lot of autistic people also have co-occurring conditions. I have auditory processing and sensory processing difficulties. I also have number dyslexia, and so on. Like we are all very different, but often autistic people have other co-occurring conditions, and those are really difficult to manage. And the type of support we need to provide to autistic kids and also autistic adults, it's everyone needs something a little bit different. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, so you basically
Yes.
specialize care to these parents because there is a plethora of information out there, correct? So you're just kind of
Oh,
like the
okay.
source, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, you were asking me when parents begin work with me and I come into their family life as a parent coach.
Mhm.
I would say typically is when parents start feeling like something is missing, that my child is not progressing as well as I would like him, her, or them, like to progress. And that's usually when they look above and beyond, the recommended therapeutic programs. And that's usually, and I think nowadays with social media and all this information, there are so many more autistic professionals and clinicians. So it's nice that autistic children today, they have connections with autistic adults, in a therapeutic way, which I love. So that's why now as a parent coach, I just work with parents, because at the end of the day, parents are the ones who have to be there. We love our children unconditionally, and we have to figure it out. It's a journey, and therapists, teachers, providers, they come and go, but parents, what's happening at home, that is the most important thing.
Right, right. Um, yeah, I see it in I don't have a neurodivergent child. She's too young to
Yeah,
really know, but there are things that we have to do to support them, and there's just issues that come with it. Dental hygiene being
yeah,
one of them is a common issue for
yeah.
all children across the board, but
Mhm.
especially I would assume with neurodivergent children who have sensory issues. Can you speak a little bit on that of like what those struggles look like?
Yeah, yeah. So every human being has a sensory profile. So specific to autistic people, we have a different way to process sensory information. So when we talk about sensory stimuli, there are five that are commonly discussed, right? Like visual, auditory, our sense of smell and what we taste and how, what we feel on our skin and so on, but there are more. Uh, there's the vestibular, the proprioceptive, and also interoception, which is, our internal senses, what we feel like hunger, pain, sleepiness,
Right,
and so on. So for autistic people, our gauge, or, our sensory processing is calibrated differently, so that we may be hypersensitive or hyposensitive or both. And throughout our lives, it just continues to change. Like for me, I'm very sensitive to sounds. Like it is really my superpower, and not in a good way, because I could hear electricity, I could hear like insects, and I hated it. It
right,
really bothers me. Um, it's the one thing that I have to problem solve immediately. If I walk into the room and I hear it, then I would just look for the switch to switch it off. And I know for a fact, for some autistic people, it's not, it goes beyond the point of intolerance, but it costs them a lot of pain when they're here, like just out in the community, lawnmower. It just sends that signal. The effect of it is just multiplies, and it's unbearable,
right,
right? Whatever that may be. So that's why personal hygiene is is it's very complex for autistic people, not just for children, but also for autistic adults, right? Because first of all, they have their internal gauge, the interoception is not quite there. If they're hungry, or I don't know, some people, if they don't brush their teeth, then your mouth will feel yucky, or for some autistic people, if they eat and they have stuff all over their face, they don't feel it. So if you don't feel it, not going to pick up a napkin to wipe your face off, to clean it off. And to the audience, people observing, you're thinking, what, that's, this person is so gross,
mhm,
but the neurodivergent person doesn't have that same sense of, I have stuff all over, it's just not
right,
automatic, unless someone tells you, hey, maybe you should clean your face, and the toothbrushing is the same thing, so and I think toothbrushing also, it's not just the act of the mechanics of cleaning your teeth. When you think about it, it's really um, multi-process. It's like putting on your shoes. What's the big deal, right? But for neurodivergent people who have motor planning difficulties, they have apraxia. Uh, it's that those steps, they don't even know how to begin the first step. And when they're experiencing um, sensory burnout, or when they're battery meter is low, it's as seem they just have forgotten how to put on their shoes.
Right.
And toothbrushing is also something like that, right? You have to find your toothbrush. You have to hold it in a certain way and get it ready to put the toothpaste on it. You have to open the toothpaste cap, and aim the toothpaste cap onto your toothbrush in a certain way, and you have to squeeze the toothpaste with just the right amount of, pressure, so you don't have toothpaste all over, right? So when you think about it, and then you have to remember like how to aim your toothbrush in a certain way, how much you use it, and when to switch it to the other side and angle it in a different way. So just listening to me describing it, you can understand it's not that simple for neurodivergent people, right? And on top of that, I also have a very sensitive nose. Like I can smell soap on dishes, on clean dishes, and I can't eat if I pick up something and I smell it. Oh my gosh, it's any kind of chemical smells. It just it's a no for me.
Right. Right.
It's a turn off. But also for some people, it makes them gag and just and so it's an issue. Personal hygiene for many many reasons. It's the taste of it. It's how it feels. The pressure. It's painful for some people.
Yeah. So that's where I would like to talk a little bit about the OtterBrush. We do try to really help the neurodivergent community and those with autism, especially with our clinical setting coming out, cutting typical brushing time from 2 minutes to 30 seconds, because we are hitting all of those critical, hard to reach areas at once. Do you think that is something that is extremely beneficial to parents trying to help their children?
Yeah, absolutely. So I work with many non-speaking people across different age groups. And just like I said, I have a couple of clients who can't even properly hold a regular toothbrush. They hold it like this. They can't close their finger, they can't grip it like this, right? So what you have created, thank you for sending this to me, by the way. I wish my son had, this is the kitty one. My son, you saw a video of my son trying to help him to brush teeth. It was so difficult. But what I like about this, first of all, it's really easier to grip because it's just like this, and then you just use it like we put the whole thing into your mouth, and you do have to move it. And then you're done. This is much better. much better than a toothbrush. Much better. It's incredible, and it makes a noise. Well, the adult one doesn't make. I'm actually happy the adult one doesn't make a noise.
Yeah,
because it was driving me crazy.
Well, actually, the kids one you can. We have 3 modes on it. So if the music is too much, you can click it so there is no music.
Yeah, so that was actually one of my questions to you. Can we turn off the music?
Yes.
Some people like the music, some people
so
end up just listening to the music and not brush teeth. You just listen to the music.
So if for those who are watching who may be unfamiliar with the brush, right here we have 3 different timer modes. So it's going to default to our 30-second, then it will turn to 60-second. Both of them have music. And then our last one is 60 seconds without music. So as you can tell, we don't hear that jungle music. You'll just hear the vibration of the brush starting.
Yeah, I think it's great. I'm definitely going to introduce these to my clients. So we have somebody here. Her name is Emily from Sacramento, and she has 2 kids under 5 who are autistic. And Berlin from Delaware. You have a boy. Okay. Yeah, so autism is, of course, on the spectrum. Every autistic person is different, and I think we just have to appreciate that. Yeah.
Awesome.
So, what were we talking about? Go ahead.
So let's talk about how we talked about how this can be a useful tool. Can you kind of
Yeah.
walk us in of like how you can make brushing just easier with your child, like how to kind of negate those problems that autistic children will normally run into?
Yes. So, I think that when it's unpleasant, when parents experience pushing back from their autistic family members, there is a reason behind it. And that why needs to be solved or supported. That's the only way, because, autistic kids grow up to be autistic adults, and we want them to understand, why do I need to brush my teeth? Why do I need a napkin to clean my face? And so on. So we can't just coax them. When they're little, we could say, oh, brush teeth first brush teeth, then read a story, that kind of thing, right? But they're gonna grow up like that, and you can't do those kind of coaxing or bribing anymore.
Right.
So I think the best way is to really respect their communication to you, that I'm not ready, I'm not sure about this activity, whatever that may be. I'm not into it because I don't like the toothpaste, maybe. Or so problem solve it with them, right? Is it
Right.
the toothpaste? So if your autistic child can actually communicate with you, let's taste the toothpaste. Is it the toothpaste? Is it because the toothbrush is the bristle's too hard? Or what is it? Or is it just, obviously, if they have motor planning issues, it's very, chances are you're already working with an occupational therapist, and, work with your OTs to figure out, just continue to support the motor development with your therapeutic professionals, because that's a co-occurring condition. It needs to be addressed separately. And I think that as parents, we have to learn to be a good detective, because for autistic kids, the whys are not easy to figure out, because they can't tell you, I don't like this, or I don't like the blinking light, or I don't like the song, or, it hurts my mouth. Literally, it would hurt someone's mouth if that person is hypersensitive to this kind of sensation, for example, right? So just experiment. And also, my other recommendation is, don't bribe. Don't do that. Just a typical, I think, if something is really hard, as parents, we experience a lot of pushback. We tend to fall back into, if you do this, you get this. And punishment, it turns into consequence and punishments, right? If you don't do this, there's no story tonight.
Right.
Guess what? Soon your kid's gonna be taller than you, and you can't do. There's nothing you can
Right.
do. If even my 13-year-old is taller than me, if he says no, I want to do it, you can't even drag a 13-year-old to sit on the chair. You know what I mean? So
Right.
I think we have to keep that in mind when we're working on any goals. It's not just for today. We want to work on the foundations for the future. And the only way we can get this particular skill, if you want to call that skill, or something that's important to really become part of that person's routine and lifestyle, if you want to call it, is to really model it. So in the video that I gave you, you know, I did it with my son. We brushed teeth together. And I used to do that when he was like 2 or 3 because it was really difficult. You know, he just wouldn't, you know, and he loved to eat sweets. He was a really, really picky eater. He just would eat like chicken nuggets and then sweets. He would, if it's like cookies and candy, he would just eat all of it.
Right.
So brushing teeth, of course, is, you know, teeth hygiene is very, very important. So we would brush teeth together, and I would let him um, clean my teeth. I would model rinsing, and it was terrible. The taste of the whatever the it's toothpaste, you know, it tastes awful to me. If it tastes awful to me, imagine how it tastes to a little kid, you
Right.
know. And even the bubble gum taste, you know how they have the kid friendly uh
Yeah. We have
toothpaste.
strawberry and bubblegum foaming
Yeah.
toothpaste.
So ideally, anything we put into a neurodivergent's mouth or on their skin should not have any smell at all, because I knew that it triggers migraine for me like that,
Right.
because we're just very, very sensitive, right?
Mhm.
So I think today we have options of like more like, you know, not non-smelling, you know, just
Right.
some people, I like it. I don't even, you know. Yeah, so don't, if your child says no, then respect that. Respect that there is a valid reason behind the no, and you want to slowly problem solve it by observing. And this takes a lot of trial and error. You don't want to do hand over hand or physical. Like, it's very uncomfortable when someone, especially with toothbrushing, is like right in front of you and forcing, you know,
Right.
something foreign and hard into your mouth. It's really, really scary, right? It's like
Right.
getting a haircut for autistic kids. That's also very scary because the buzzing noise, it's not like the hair cutting itself, but everything else that comes with that activity of getting a haircut. I think cleaning your teeth is also like that, right? So yeah, so with this kind of, you know, self-care, of course we have to nurture it. I call that nurturing it, because it just takes time, you know, and the parents have to model it. Brush teeth like together, and if your child just is not able to do it, you know, you want to try again later. Definitely not forcing, not bribing, um, and just model it, make it fun, do it side by side. uh, you know, if I think doing the music, the like, do whatever, you know, you juggle the ball to make things happen. Because if you're nervous, right, because I see this a lot with parents, especially if their kids have braces, they're so worried that food will just get left out in there. Um, so when you have that nervous energy, your kids pick up on it, and then
Right.
it just becomes like, what is
They
this? You know,
get
I don't like this. Yeah, yeah.
nervous.
What is this? I don't want to do this. I don't even want to do it with you like right now, you know.
Yeah. Right.
So yeah, so I would say I brush teeth together with my son for a long time, and as he grew up, it's actually our activity that
Yeah.
we would still do like from time to time. We just chill in the bathroom, and you know, so that's what, that's why I call it nurturing it, because potentially it's something that you could do together. It's
Right.
brushing teeth, maybe brushing hair or braiding your hair, or it could be any of these, right? But the beginning part is, don't focus on the problem. Yeah.
Yeah, we actually, so we're all about making better habits together. We have
Yeah.
a family pack, so it will come with an adult brush. I have my pink one, and then this is my daughter. She has Maddie the monkey.
Yeah.
And we do the same thing because we're just trying to practice those habits. I would
Yeah.
like to call out sometimes I feel like children can need just like a little additional help We do
Yeah.
have these therapies that are just a little bit useful for combating other issues. So for the blue, this has antibacterial properties, so it can help kill extra germs in the mouth. And then this is red light therapy is great for gum inflammation. So if you're seeing,
Yeah.
you know, that problem,
Yeah.
these brushes can also help with that as well.
I love it. I think it's very smart. Like it is like, I actually have seen your product before pop up on my feed, but it's really nice to actually hold it. And that my first question was, do you make it for adults? And
Yeah.
I'm so excited that because
Yeah.
I know many autistic adults who really struggle with brushing teeth just because, and the fact that you could do this and get it over with quickly. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's amazing. And I
Yeah.
was going to say to parents that even if for some days your child could only brush like 30%, say, take it because that's the best that they can do. You really have to have flexible expectations, and it's it's the good enough. You just have to adjust it. Yeah.
Right. I would like to remind the audience who's watching tonight that if you have any questions for Maisie, we have a live Q&A throughout this live. So if you have anything specifically you would like answered, feel free to drop that in the comments. I'm going to circle back to one of the things that you said about toothpaste, the smell being
Mhm.
overwhelming or the process of it being very hard, because it's something I've never,
Yeah.
really considered. One thing to call out to parents is this is a pump, so you do 3 on
Right.
top. So it's a little bit easier because you can just say 3, and like help them with that.
Mhm.
But if they are triggered by the smell or anything, the auto brush also works with other types of toothpaste. So if the smell is too much, you can also use whatever you would like. We just recommend dabbing
Yeah.
it on the bristles so it will break down a little bit easier, like a foam toothpaste does. But you
Mhm.
have options with the auto brush. We want to make it very seamless for parents because it can be just a hard thing to do. Awesome.
Yeah.
One of my questions for you, being that it is
Mhm.
World Autism Month, is there anything that you
Mhm.
wish that individuals without neurodivergent problems understood better, specifically with children, how we can better support them?
Yeah, I think that in every family we should have more conversations about being different together. So to me, when we talk about inclusivity, and that's a trendy word that we hear it a lot, companies have their inclusivity initiatives and so on, and yet we know that over 85% of autistic college graduates are not employed or underemployed, and today in America, 1 in 44 children will be diagnosed with autism. So I think what I want parents and educators or whoever, community members, business owners, to really understand that uh, people who have neurodivergence, diagnosis, they are, uh, they're still like, are they're they're still part of the community. They're part of our society, and I think this world needs different kinds of minds. So I think it takes some time, and it really takes compassion, and all of us can do that, to take a little bit more time to invest to get to know that person, because I think when we talk about accommodations, it goes both ways. It's not just up to the autistic person or an autistic child to make adjustments to come into a neurotypical world and neurotypical ways of living and working and communicating, but it's also the other way around. right? So it takes that accountability should go both ways. So I think for autistic people who are non-speaking, or maybe they're using a device to communicate, or they're using much less verbal channel to communicate, they're still valuable member of our community, because their mind is like a different mind that we
Right.
can learn from, right?
Absolutely.
So I learn, yeah, I my non-speaking clients are really amazing. They're so talented. They're very strong writers. They have aspirations. They have job aspirations, but they need mentors. So I always, when people ask me, well, how can we do better to support autistic people or neurodivergent communities, I would say become a mentor. That's what our nonprofit wants to do. We're building a platform to help our community step up to become mentors to neurodivergent people. Whether you're a teacher, you're someone like you, and there's always room for improvement, and that's where a neurodivergent mind can really fill in that gap.
I love that. Can you share your social handles once more for us so anybody that's listening can see what resources you have?
Yeah. So I have I do my advocacy most consistently on Instagram. So my parenting account is just my name at Macy Sutantio. So this is where I advocate for autistic children and help parents to understand better all the whys behind autistic expressions. So come in there, and then for the nonprofit work, we have at Autism Career Pathways. So I'm very proud of this account because I interview so many autistic adults on their career journey. So that is a safe place. Uh, if you are a parent of a young autistic child, you can look ahead a little bit and really continue to have hope in you and in your family, because that's really important for parents to continue to be hopeful, because if parents are not hopeful, their child will feel it,
Right.
totally. So that is a safe place for autistic teens and parents. If you're looking for a job or you don't know um, what to do in the future if you're autistic, just go in there and listen to people's interviews, and they're incredible. We have, for example, an autistic fiber artist, and his company, he makes quilts, and they are incredible, and
That is
he
great.
does really well doing this. Yeah, like today, after we're done, I'm interviewing an autistic young person who works at Disneyland. I mean, her dream has come true because she works, that's where she wanted to work. And I can't wait to talk to her. And then all these interviews, I put them on the YouTube channel, Autism Career Pathways, and we have a tab there for career exchange forum. So all these interviews are there. Um, and then I just launched a Better Community Sensory Inclusive Certification for businesses and organizations. So this is a training protocol for businesses. I'm talking about the flower shop, the bakery, the printing company, all the small mom and pop shop in our community, for them to learn how to be a neurodivergent welcoming space. So through this program, they learn about how to learn about autism and to learn about communication and sensory differences. And then we help them create accommodations within their business space. And then they get a shout out on our social media. So that's on Instagram under at Better Community Certified. So if you want to bring your favorite small businesses in your community, direct them to at Better Community Certified. And then our website is autismcareerpathways.org. I run online classes on Facebook or on Zoom, and my thing is special interest. So I love doing career trainings based on the specialized interests. So that's really fun for me to see what people love to do, what they stim with, and how we can keep that in mind as far as redefining meaningful employment as a neurodivergent person. So I think that's it. I always have a lot of projects. I can't always remember. Yeah.
Well, I want to echo Glenda's comments that she wants to thank you for your work. And I implore you guys to all check out those socials and resources that she just shared. They are so helpful and educational for, I think, the whole community to really understand and see where they can help. And Maisie, thank you again for joining us. Those who are watching, Autobrush would love to offer a discount code April 15th, April 15 for 15% our kids bundles. Just so you guys can try the product and, maybe even pick one up for yourself after we talked about it as well too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But it's been an honor to have you for Autism Awareness Month. Do you have any closing thoughts you want to share with our audience before we head out?
I know that hopefully many parents will listen to this conversation. I just want to tell all of you guys, if you are raising an autistic child, to really embrace that journey and help your child embrace their identity. And because I think at home is where we can protect them. Outside of our home we can't. There's always we just, so I think at home is where we have to provide the unconditional love and support. So I just want to make sure that you keep that in mind.
Awesome. I think that's amazing. And thank you again. If you have any questions for us that we didn't get to answer in this live, feel free to drop it in the comments, and Maisie and I will be able to answer those for you. But until then, have a great night. Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.